I am a career coach and I work with individuals as well as organizations to coach people through career transitions. And that's my focus. So I work with organizations to help their leaders become better leaders. And I work with individuals who are either in a place of unemployment, in a place of seeking some type of career advancement, or in a place of just looking for something new, something new and different from what they're currently doing, looking to make a career change. So I believe that's my passion in life is to help people through career transitions. And my primary focus are people of faith. So the way I position myself within the career coaching space is that I target people who are of the Christian faith. So I really, really love what I do. I've been doing this for several years. I took it seriously in 2015 when I went after my certified professional coach certification. And during that time, a large portion of my clients were in the resume writing space. So I really focused on resume development during that time. And over the years, I've decided to expand my offering to now offering career coaching and career transition coaching as well. So that's what I do now with DOB Coaching Solutions. I picked this side hustle now turned into a full-time hustle up on last year. And I'm really excited about it. My background is primarily a human resources professional, but career coaching and helping folks reach their full potential has always been something that I've been passionate about.
So I'm going to ask a multi-layered question and then let you answer it. What's your educational background? What was your first job? What was your first job out of college? So those three.
Okay. So my educational background. So I am a New Jersey native through and through. So I know Stockton University is in New Jersey. So it's home to where I grew up and became who I am today. So I did my undergraduate studies at a historically black college, the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. And that was something that was important to me as an African American female to attend a historically black college to really get that type of experience. And there I learned, so much about people that look like me, but are totally different than who I am and how I was brought up. So I really got to learn a lot of diversity within my own culture within the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And from there, I knew that I wanted to expand my education beyond a bachelor's degree. I initially attended the College of New Jersey to become a guidance counselor. Um, but during my first weeks there, I knew that I was being pulled to do something different. So I took a semester off after graduating from UMES and then reapplied to Rutgers University's School of Management and Labor program. And I first attended the program as a non-matriculated student as I worked full time, and then decided to enroll full time into their program where I earned a master's of labor and employment relations, as well as a master of human resource management degrees. So that's my educational background. Since then, I've just taken on a host of certifications. So I'm a certified professional coach, associate level coach with the International Coach Federation, a diversity recruiter, social sourcing recruiter. I've just, really tried to stay abreast on new and emerging changes within the profession of human resources. So I'm a person who likes to do continued learning. So I have a large host of certifications and trainings that I take to make sure I'm fresh within my industry. Now, my first job out of college, well, my very first job, I think that's was the second question you asked. My first job was at a Masonic nursing home in Burlington Township, New Jersey. And I didn't like it that much because I'm a twin and we both couldn't work in the same area. So most of the female employees at the Masonic nursing home worked as waitresses within the dining hall of the Masonic nursing home. So they got to, wear their full outfits and just serve and didn't have to do any cooking or any true cleaning within the kitchen. But because I was a twin and we were hired at the same time, they couldn't have both of us in the same area. So I had to take a job on the tray line, which I really didn't like. So I was a part of the whole, not cooking the food, but putting food on the trays and making sure that the residents within the nursing home had their desired meals each day, which wasn't the most sexy job at all. I learned hard work. I learned the value of respecting and loving the elderly while I was there, something that I'm very much still passionate about. And my very first job out of college was with a nonprofit also in southern New Jersey, and it was the it's called Twin Oaks now, but it was a Family Services of Burlington County, a nonprofit organization that helped developmentally disabled and mentally ill residents. And the job that I took on was a benefits specialist. And I was able to get into that job because during my undergraduate years, I worked as an HR assistant, which really gave me some foundational skills within the human resources profession. And if I think back on it now, it really was the that time that kind of pulled me into taking that semester off and applying to be a part of the Rutgers University program to take on my degrees in human resource management. So that job was tough. When you work for a nonprofit, if anybody's ever worked for a nonprofit, you know that you wear many, many hats. So although I was hired to be the benefits specialist part-time, I was the recruiter. I did new hire orientation, the benefits portion of new hire orientation. I did benefits audits. I made sure all the deductions for benefits were correct. And it was a grueling job, especially for me also taking night classes. So I had to drive from South New Jersey all the way to New Brunswick, New Jersey, several nights a week to continue my studies. So it was my first job out of school, out of undergrad, but it was a job that definitely catapulted me and put me right where I needed to be for my career long term.
So Diamond, you've been helping people and you've been doing HR. It seems like your entire life has been, and it comes, it comes together with DLB Coaching Solutions. So but from a young age, you've been out there on the front lines assisting people in some manner.
It all ties in together.
Yes, it all ties in together. Yeah. Now let me ask you a question, two questions again. What's your definition of HR? And what is HR? What is the purpose of, what do you think the purpose of HR is? What do you think the purpose of HR is?
Yeah, so in my opinion, human resources is all about how you manage the assets of an organization, those people assets. At a very basic level, is how you manage those people assets. So whether that's the flow of people as a recruiter, whether it's managing employee relations and culture within the organization, which is like, helping out with morale and workplace culture, or it's the establishment of policies and procedure. So it's all in how we manage the most important asset of our organization, which is their people. For me, I took a lot of pride in making sure that my managers were great managers, that they weren't just good at what they did, but they were also good at how they managed their people. And to me, that's another big part of what HR does and how HR provides value, is that it helps the organization maintain certain capabilities. And for me, I took, as an HR generalist, as an HR analyst, as HR business partner, which all roles that I've taken on, I took a lot of pride in making sure that my managers were up to date and abreast on, new and emerging laws and technologies, that they had great performance discussions with their employees, that they didn't just have, check the box types of discussions, that they wrote up great performance evaluations. I took a lot of pride in that. I took a pride in addressing employee relations issues and being proactive about seeing certain issues within my organizations that I worked for, during organizational assessments, and just making sure that things worked smoothly, that we met our whatever metrics we had to meet on a consistent basis. I took a lot of pride in that as an HR professional, that my managers were trained well, that any type of service level agreements that I had with the organizations that I worked for, whether we were internal mission enablers where we still had to uphold certain agreements. I took a lot of pride in that. So I think that's really the purpose of HR, is to make sure that the most valuable asset of an organization, which is their people, is taken care of and managed to the best of our ability. So that's how I would describe the human resources and our value. And what was the next question that you asked?
So, so you did do that, the definition and the purpose. You did that for us. So my
Okay.
next question is career development. Like, what is it? How can people use it? And how should people use career development? And even if that's like professional development, career development, advantages, everything, because you mentioned how you like to continuously learn and you have all of your certifications, you've gotten your master's degree. So you keep furthering your education, you keep furthering yourself. So talk a little bit about career development, what people can do, what people should do, and even professional development, how that's helped you and how it can help other people.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So when I think of career development and professional development, a lot of people may group those into one. I like to think of them as two separate pieces, because there are certain competencies within your career, within your specific niche or your specific field, that is specific to that field only. And to me, that's more of the career development. When you look at those specific competencies or those occupational competencies, and so for someone like me as an HR professional, I was always looking at where I wanted to go long term. So a lot of my career development was surrounded around my own goals, my own career goals for myself. So of course, within my organization, I sat down with my manager each year and set goals for my performance. But personally, I was always managing my career. So that's one of the key things I want you folks to know, is that you are the author of your destiny, and it is up to you to manage your career. So within the HR realm, there is generalists and there's specialists, and then you see that there are tactical folks that are very transactional and technical, and then there are folks that are very strategic in the work that they do. And for me, I was always observing these folks. I was asking them for sit down discussions to learn more about the work that they did. I saw the folks who were burnt out. I saw the folks who seemed like they really loved what they did. And I took advantage of that by, working in different areas. I took on also a stretch assignment within learning and development, which is a realm of human resources. I've always worked in recruiting, benefits. Anytime I had an opportunity to be on a special project to learn about other areas within human resources outside of my current occupation, I always did, because it was all a part of my career development for me to become more well-rounded within my profession of choice. So I think a big part of career development is really looking out 10 years, 5 years, and seeing where you want to go. I like to break those things down into, when I work with individual clients, they either could take one of three paths. And I'd like for them to kind of designate where they would like to go and kind of stick within those paths. So one, you want to get into leadership. You know that you want to be a senior executive, or you want to be a manager of some sort, and you work on those types of skills to take on that role. A lot of times you can pinpoint on an org chart the exact role that you want to take. Ask that person for a sit down discussion and ask them how they got there. A lot of times there's certain roles that you have to take or you must take, or will make you more competitive for the role that you want to get into. So a lot of times having discussions with those people can give you insight into what it takes to become who they are. And then there's also the folks who want to be subject matter experts. They do not want to manage folks. They want to get really, really good at what they do. They know that they can make great money becoming an expert at a specific area. And that's what they want to do. They want to work their way up by being the best at what they do. Those are the project offers and the subject matter experts. And they it's good to talk to those folks too and stay on that path. Don't deviate from the path, stay on the path. And then there are folks who know that they don't want the stress of a leader. They don't want to really focus on being a subject matter expert. They like to be tactical and functional in the things that they do. And that's fine too. So it's good for people to understand what their strengths are when they're setting these long-term career goals. And it may change over time. You may get to a certain place and realize that, hey, I thought I wanted to be a manager, but managing people isn't for me. So I want to take a left or take a pivot of some sort. So that's what I think career development is. It's really looking at where you would like to go, finding out as much as you can about where you want to go, and knowing that you may not have everything needed to make it to that place. There's going to be some gaps that you're going to need to fill, and then aggressively addressing those gaps to make sure that you can achieve those goals within your desired amount of time. And then when you get to professional development, I think those are just some of those tangible, transferable skills, communication and problem solving, things that no matter what type of job that you take on or what your skill set is or your occupation of choice, you're going to need to be a good communicator. You're going to want to be a good person at building relationships. And in my definition, that just professional development, it's like when you bring your professional self to work. There's a way that I handle myself at home, and that is not how I handle myself within my workplace. So that's my professional self, developing your professional self as much as you can, just with transferable skills, people skills, leadership skills that may not be in your designated career field, but definitely critical to your success nonetheless. And I think those were your two questions.
And yes, thank you. And my next question is career transition. Now, I think I may have confused two things, but I hope I don't. So career transition and career transformation, because I know you explained to us the difference between career development and professional development. So now career transitions and career transformation.
Absolutely. So career transitions are very near and dear to me. I really like to walk my clients through a 5-step process of career transition. And it starts with self-reflection and goal setting. So all of my clients, I suggest that they take a strength assessment so we can identify their strengths, and so we can know really, what they're good at. They can discover their unique value proposition. And a lot of times the folks that I work with may have been unemployed for some time, and just taking that assessment, reassuring themselves of their value is very critical at the beginning of a career transition. So overarching career transitions are somewhat of what I discussed earlier, but it's going from your current state of maybe unemployment, part-time employment, retirement, looking to get into something new, into getting into that new place. So from the moment you decide that you, no longer want to be in the state that you're in, and you want to transition into something new, or you're forced into a transition, maybe you're laid off or terminated in some way, you are now transitioning into something new. So yes, I work my clients through first self-reflection and goal setting, helping them to develop some focus and some awareness around who they are and where they are in their transition. So we have some really, really powerful discussions about, where they would like to go, setting some goals around the things that they, will not tolerate within their next role, the types of jobs they would like to take on, the leadership responsibilities they would like to take on, the location. So that very first part of career, in my opinion, career transition is really self-reflection, kind of maybe even identifying what didn't work in your last role and taking some active steps to make sure that you're not going to have those same issues within your next role. So it starts with self-reflection and goal setting. And then the next thing I like to help my clients do is put together a very succinct and perfect, almost perfect resume and LinkedIn profile. And we do that by identifying their job titles, deconstructing at least 3 to 6 job announcements to make sure we're getting all the keywords and information needed for them to have a discoverable resume and LinkedIn profile. So we spend a lot of time partnering together, going back and forth to make sure they have a document that's ready for prime time, something that would get them an in-person interview. And then the next step is job search and networking. So we have some candid discussions on how to network, the art of networking, kind of how to have those uncomfortable discussions of asking people for help and asking for job leads, on how to set up job alerts, whereas you're not just searching online every day for jobs, which can become very much burdensome, and people can become burnt out and very frustrated during their time of transition. So I try to help my clients to set up job alerts and set up a specific time when they search and apply for jobs. So, that first stage, we're self-reflecting and setting goals. That next stage, we're working on a lot of documents. Actually, we're working on a resume, the LinkedIn profile, and any cover letters that we would need to have for the transition. The next step, we're job searching and we are networking. That next stage is all about interview preparation. And again, this is where all the work that we did in stages 1 and 2 come to fruition. So we've already identified their unique value proposition by putting together their resume. They already have those key examples and accomplishments that they would more than likely speak about during the in-person interview. And I walk them through a series of different exercises so that they are prepared for their interview. And then after they have finished their interview preparation, they negotiate their salary. So I walk them through my 6 stages of how to negotiate salary. And lastly, once they have gloriously found a new job, I walk them through a process on how to onboard. A lot of folks onboard within a new organization and do whatever the organization offers them as their onboarding process. What I like to encourage my clients to do is to have their own process for onboarding. So what they do within that first 90 days can be very critical to their success. So I also offer my clients a process for tackling that first 90 days. So in my opinion, that's what a career transition is, either making a decision or being forced into a place of going from full-time to part-time, retirement out of the military to the public sector or private sector. Anytime you're making a transition from your current place to a new place or a new position within your career, I would consider that a career transition. And those are the people that I really like to work with. Now, career transformation is to me is one of those. It's huge. It's not something full-time to part-time. It's when someone decides that they've been inspired by some type of maybe event that took place in their lives. And they have no experience in this field, but they're now willing to do any and everything to take on this new thing. I'm actually working with a client now who has been in the finance world for her entire life and worked at great companies, Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, and she's a vice president. She's done very, very well for herself. But when she looks back at her career, she feels as though she's done nothing because she's worked with contracts and money her whole life. And now she wants to get into human resources and be a business partner just to recruit people of color, to be a part of the change that's happening and the conversations that are happening in the world and within her industry, which in her opinion, doesn't have as much people of color and women as she would like to see. So to me, those are some of those career transformations where someone maybe they see someone that they love is affected by something, maybe cancer, and they devote their lives into becoming a cancer doctor, or they experience something traumatic with their elderly grandparents and then now become elder law attorneys. To me, those are those unique stories that I love to hear about, those inspiring stories where, and I'm sorry to get faith-like, but in my mind, those stories are just critical to me as a person of faith, to know that someone has transformed their life based on a passion and a desire that they have to really to change the world. To me, those are career transformations.
And one final question. What is your definition of career coaching, and how can and should people use it to develop and further their career? And especially because a lot of the students listening today are rather they're in the under 30 years of age, so they are either going to be into their first, second, third job. So what can they do so that they can use career coaching, use everything that you've told us about, HR, using career development, using professional development, so their transformations, their transition, so that they can further their career and keep moving forward so they can achieve the success that they want? I know that's a really compound question, but
No, it's actually, and it's actually not. People should seek out career coaches when they understand that there are some things that they're not going to be able to discover on their own. When they know that they would like to further themselves professionally, and there's someone out there trained to help them to tap into the best about themselves. So I think a good time for someone to seek a career coach, there were with us several times, but one is when you understand that there's some places that you would like to go and you alone will not be able to get there. There's some information that these career coaches have that with their training is, first I would say make sure you get into a career coach that's trained and has the appropriate credentials. And career coaching is becoming very broad. You have interview coaches, you have mindset coaches, you have performance coaches. So I would say to anyone looking to hire career coaches, to make sure they do their research, get to know as much about the career coach as you can, look at their specialties. And then a large part of careers has to do with like mindset and emotional development, and office politics and things like that can affect someone's career in a way that is just undeniable. And a lot of times people seek out career coaches because they have issues on the job that are non-work related, and they need someone to help them to be a better communicator. They need someone to help them to ask the right questions versus maybe being a bad leader. So a lot of times people seek out career coaches because they know that there's something within themselves that they need to work on, and they themselves are not able to accomplish that task. And there's also situations where there's nothing wrong within the individual. They just know that tapping into a subject matter expert on certain scenarios is beneficial. Like, I want to know how to approach this situation, and I don't want to ask my boss about it. I have mentors, but they may not have the time. I would rather pay someone to make sure that they are available for me to talk through these situations that I'm dealing with at work. And then a lot of times as a career coach, people bring all of themselves to their coaching sessions. Now, no, we're not therapists, but if there's an issue that could be impacting a person's work life, we're also there to help them to work through those problems and those situations. So as a member of the International Coach Federation, we are training to help our clients work through any and all obstacles by asking powerful questions. So those are two scenarios that I think someone should look at hiring a career coach or an interview coach or a performance coach, when you really know that, to get where you need to go, you would need some further assistance, or you just want to have someone, I don't want to say on retainer, but you want to have someone there that you can ask questions to. So those are some of the reasons why I think young professionals will look at hiring a career coach when, hey, you've gotten blocked or stumbled up in some area in your career journey, and you need to hire some additional assistance.
well, thank you, Diamond. We've had a great interview. I really appreciate you joining us tonight, taking time away from your business, taking time away from your family, taking time away from your busy life, so that you can speak to our class about about HR, about career development, about professional development, about career coaching, about career transitions and transformations, all of which will help the students in our class today. So once again, thank you. And I'm going to end this interview. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.